To Zimbabwe now, where the government says it is ready to assist Zimbabweans who want to return back to the country due to the challenges of permits in South Africa. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Zimbabwe held talks with Minister Naledi Pandor yesterday. Let's get more on this particular story. We're joined by Hopewell Chinono, an investigative journalist and an author. Hopewell, thank you so much for your time this evening. What do you make of the visit of the Foreign Affairs Minister of Zimbabwe in South Africa?
Thank you very much for having me tonight. The visit was disappointing because many Zimbabweans thought that the South African government was going to use this opportunity to let their counterparts know that the bad governance in Zimbabwe and the failed rule of law was causing problems of immigration within the region, specifically in South Africa, and that reforms were supposed to have been done. But what surprised me the most was that Dr. Naledi Pandor, the Foreign Affairs Minister for the Republic of South Africa, chose to speak about the need for Zimbabwe to work with South Africa to implement reforms at the United Nations, and yet the immediate reforms that are needed are the ones that have not been taking place in Zimbabwe. We have over 95% of our citizens who are potentially supposed to be working out of work. We don't have working hospitals. And because of that, it has increased the flow of illegal immigration to South Africa. And that cannot be dealt with using border fences or soldiers or policemen. It's a revolving door. If you deport Zimbabweans and they come back to Zimbabwe, after 2 days, they'll be back again in South Africa because there's no economy to speak of in Zimbabwe. So I was disappointed by that aspect.
And I mean, talking about the issues of immigration, Hopewell, I mean, one of the things, as you say, it was always going to be one of those that we look to see what exactly are they going to be discussing, given the tensions that are now, simmering, as we've seen on the ground. How is, the anxiety back home when it comes to media coverage and how these issues are being covered?
Almost everyone that I know in Zimbabwe has got a family member outside the country, and most of them are in South Africa. And because of the violence that we're seeing of citizens, South African citizens, that are angered by some of the crime that is being committed by some Zimbabweans and some other foreign nationals, everybody's worried that their relative might get into trouble. That said, again, it was disappointing because the South African Foreign Affairs Minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor, said that she was happy with the assistance she was getting from the Zimbabwean government in dealing with those issues of illegal immigration, unless they discussed something in private, which they chose to keep private. What we know is that the Zimbabwean government, because of the corrupt rule that's taking place in Zimbabwe, the looting of public funds, the plan of the country's natural minerals and resources, there's not been any meaningful economic activity that has been taking place in Zimbabwe. Right now, Zimbabwe has got the highest levels of inflation in the whole world at 595%. So those Zimbabweans that were given permits 10 years ago by the South African government will be coming home to a situation that is more dire than the time they left 10 years ago. We do not have clean drinking water in our homes in Zimbabwe. We do not have jobs, as I alluded to earlier on. Hospitals are not working. Your Home Affairs Minister mentioned a couple of months ago that 80% of women that are giving birth at Musina Hospital in Limpopo are from Zimbabwe. It is because that infrastructure, the maternity infrastructure that is needed in a normal country, is not there in Zimbabwe. The biggest hospital in Zimbabwe only has one maternity theater that was built in 1977 by the colonial government. That is why Zimbabweans cross the border, and that cannot be dealt with using fences and soldiers. It can only be dealt with by dealing with the root cause, which is corrupt rule, which is the abuse of the rule of law, and the failure to implement reforms. We are going into an election in 2023. We thought that the counterpart on the South African side, Dr. Naledi Pandor, was going to speak more about the reforms that are needed in order to put to bed the Zimbabwean crisis once and for all. I said yesterday, talking to a friend, that there is a border fence on the Zimbabwean side with South Africa. There's a border fence on the Zimbabwean side with Botswana, but there's no electric fence on the South African side with Botswana. Because the economy in Botswana is working, there's no need for people from Botswana to cross into South Africa illegally. The illegal crossing into South Africa from the Zimbabwean side is being caused by the failed economy, and this cannot be resolved by platitudes and political statements that don't address the real cause of the economic crisis.
All right, Hopewell, thank you so much. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for this evening. Do appreciate your time, though. That was Hopewell Chinono, Zimbabwean journalist and author.